Hello. Hello, Kuba. Am I audible? And is my screen visible? No? Oh,
We
man.
saw it, we saw it for a second. Yeah, for a second your screen was visible and it's gone now.
Okay.
All good.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. So let me start. I hope you can just see my the screen with the PPT. And is my speaker notes visible?
My speaker notes are visible. Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Cool. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the demo of Super Transformer. Super Transformer is an AI assisted email inbox manager to make you more productive, efficient, and effective. The team members of Team Megatron are Amir, that's myself, Abhishek, and Amok.
Hey guys.
So, what is Super Transformer? Super Transformer allows you to intelligently categorize your emails into actionable labels based on your feedback and training. You spend less time browsing through your emails, minimal time responding to critical ones, and more time focused on work. So, actually, I'll pray to the demo gods and up my game a bit. So, to everyone present in the live stream, can I request you to just open your inbox quickly and send an email to test.hillary0, zero is the number zero, at gmail.com. So I'll wait for, say, about 30 seconds. And for the email subject line, you can choose any of these subject lines, or you can actually just send a subject line from one of the other emails that is in your inbox. Hopefully, that is non-confidential, very generic, and it doesn't, compromise with the privacy. So what I'll do is I'll wait for 30 seconds. Please send an email with just the subject. Body can be empty to test.hillary0 at gmail.com. I'll start my 30 seconds timer now.
Okay, send one email. We'll see if it reaches you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Arjun. Thanks, Powell. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. So we'll come back to that later. And thanks for everyone who basically sent that email. So let me cover a bit of a theory before we jump onto the app demo. So Super Transformer utilizes a productivity technique for prioritization called Eisenhower metrics. So Eisenhower metrics categorizes your task into important and urgent, and it also specifies action that can be taken based on those categories. So if a task is important and urgent, you just do it now. If a task is important but not urgent, you should do it later and decide later. If it's not important but urgent, so you can delegate it, say you to your secretary or someone in your team, so that the urgency can be addressed, but it is not important, so your involvement is not mandatory. And if something is not important and not urgent, you can safely discard it. This technique is again used in some form or other in inbox zero. as well as if you deep dive into David Allen's, it is also used by David Allen in his Getting Things Done framework. So you have a single inbox, you categorize based on importance. So a lot of these techniques are overlapping. Um, so many of these techniques require to manually triage a task for importance and urgency. But none of these techniques automate it. We plan to solve this problem by automating it. So a quick round of what the app development or app internals look like. So for this app demo, we have used the persona and email data of ex-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Clinton being the topmost executive of the State Department, needs to be highly efficient to be effective at her job. We chose this persona because we have Clinton emails declassified and public available from the US government. This helps us to apply our theories on real world data and produce results useful in real world scenarios. So it's not some sort of a figment of our imagination or only work in the demo, but we are using the real world data and showing a real world scenario of how it is going to be applied. So we have used a lot of SaaS product for this particular hackathon. We have used Label Studio to annotate the email dump into four priorities. Now, later, delegate and discard, as we covered earlier. We have also labeled the email as ignored if the data was not properly passed. We have applied our own understanding of geopolitics to label a priority of an email based on just the subject and the body. So after the emails are annotated and categorized, manually categorized, we use Cohere to train a classify model to map a particular email and subject to the four categories given. We use Glitch to host APIs as well as a simple demo UI. We use Pipedream as a IFTTT. So Pipedream gets triggered whenever there is a new email that arrives. It then queries the Cohere API, gets the prediction of which category this particular email falls into, uses the Gmail API from Pipedream itself to apply the predicted label. So let's jump on enough talk, and we'll show you um, how this works in the real world. So I have a lot of these emails. A lot of these other emails sent by me are actually from actual email inbox of Hillary Clinton. So the emails were publicly available. So a lot of these headlines are actually the emails that were sent to Hillary Clinton. Now let's look at. Uh, Let me basically enable this. I wanted to enable it because otherwise, if it is scheduled, it would automatically get triggered, and I'll not be able to show you how it actually works in production. So now I'm going to manually trigger the workflow. In production, this can be scheduled to run every minute. Here, it is configured to run every 15 minutes. But for the demo, I've disabled it, and I'm going to manually trigger it. Keeping my fingers crossed and praying to the demo gods, I've clicked run. Good. So this got triggered. There are a lot of new emails coming up. These processes are going to get complete. Let's give it say max 30 seconds for all these things to get. In the meanwhile, I'll just come over here and try to keep refreshing my screen so that, okay, now we can see a few of the labels getting updated, a few of the processes here getting completed. Let's wait. Oh, there are a lot of failures. So we might not get all the emails labeled properly. So maybe I think we bombarded the Cohere model. No worries, I have backup just in that case. So if the subject is this and the body is this, I click label. It says it should be in delegate. If I ever mention Benghazi or Libya or Afghanistan, then you know it. It has to be attended now. The same over here. I can actually to classify. Yeah, so I'll click classify over here. Give a moment. Yeah. Now we can see like if these were the email subject and body in the email inbox, these would be categorized as such, right? And if these are categorized properly in my email inbox, I quickly know, okay, I have to just come to now and I have to attend to all these emails which are prioritized, topmost priority as well as of topmost urgency. Something that I attend to later are over here. Something that I can directly discard, like wishing you Merry Christmas, thank you, some confirmations can be here, and a few things that I can delegate to my executive assistant or my secretary, like all the scheduling related things, are over here. So either I can actually have a filter so that these emails are directly forwarded to my secretary or executive assistant. So that was the app demo. The UI is hosted on this particular URL I showed you already. So if somebody wants to try it after the demo, you can go to this particular URL and try it on your own. So what Super Transformer does is it transforms your cluttered email inbox into specific priorities, so you don't have to manually triage through your email inbox and attend to critical emails very quickly. A few of the challenges that we faced while developing the application is the email was available as the PDF, so the parsing was, and as well as it was not in a uniform standard. So a lot of parsing hits and misses, as well as the emails were heavily redacted, so that basically affected the data. We annotated about 2,000 emails manually, out of which 1,500 were good data set, 500 had parsing issues, so we basically ignored it. And the other caveat there is we annotate based on our understanding of geopolitics. So if some issues, say in Brazil, is we classified it as not as important as if there is a issue in Libya or Afghanistan. The other caveats are we only use two signals, the subject of the email and the body of the email. We ignore the rest, who is it coming from, what time it is coming, and things around it. And as you can understand, email is a more async form of conversation. So urgent issues are mostly conversed over IM or WhatsApp. So the data was skewed. We tried our best to basically remove that biasness of the data. What is the future work? We will plan to reduce the data limitations. Right now, it is manually triage. Later on, we plan to make a system so that the whole thing basically user gives the feedback, and based on his preferences and priorities, we're able to basically figure out the priorities. Um, and federated learning, as well as extending the system to other to the email providers like Microsoft and yeah, Microsoft or other Yahoo or other. With that, I'll hand it over to my teammate Amok, who is going to take us through the business use case.
Yeah, hey guys. So I'll just talk briefly about the business use case for the application. So just looking at some statistics, there were actually some studies that showed that an average worker spends nearly one third of his workday just on emails. So there are other data that shows that it might exceed 6.3 hours. So all these little moments in our day actually adds up to about a month in a year. So this is definitely like a pain point that we are trying to target. If you just go to the next slide. Yeah, and there was this other study that also showed that the number one distraction for workers is this email. So the majority of our time is taken up by this. So Basically that's what we want to optimize on. So giving users the opportunity to kind of go through their inbox, and then we have already these pre-labels that kind of give you a framework on what your day can look like. So that's basically the idea. So on the next slide. Yeah, so that's the gist of it. So we believe that email is here to stay. So every day organizations use it as a primary channel of communication, and that's why we believe that our application can have a value to automatically schedule our inboxes based on your priorities. So that's the idea. I hope you guys liked our app. Thanks.
Kuba, you are mute.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Do we have any questions?
So I don't know if it's a question for you, but I'm just first of all, super awesome project. I would definitely use something like this if you launched it more broadly. I want to be like a beta tester. Sign me up if it's possible. I want to be there. What I'm wondering about is that this feature where you are able to sort of categorize emails according to your labels, and then sort of keeping it relevant as your priorities maybe shift and change, and certain things are becoming more important rather than others, and how to keep it relevant over time. Have you been thinking of allowing the user to sort of tweak it and update it, or like requiring it from the user regularly to keep it up to date to stay relevant?
Yep. I think so. We are right now using just the email and subject. We are not looking into like when the email was sent, who sends it, and yeah, I think that is going to be one of the challenges, including more and more signals. And without the user explicitly telling us which signal is important for him, but just based on the pattern of email he selects as his priority, trying to figure out what is a common pattern and try to extract that and based on it, prioritize it. I completely agree. A particular project can be important at one particular point of time. It might be, not so important at a later point. And I think, yeah, a lot of signals, not just explicit user feedback, but implicit, like which email he opens, how much time he takes to read it, which email he replies to, and how quickly he takes the action without telling him the priority. All these signals can be included and try to figure out priority at a better level.
Yeah, to add, we did think of that, and in our future work, we do want to give the user more control of the model. So yeah, we realize that the pre-trained stuff might not work for all organizations or users. So yeah, we would like to implement that feature of the user actually changing the label so it understands each user differently. So yeah, great point there. Yeah.
Awesome.
And this,
I'm looking forward to the updates on this.
and to follow on Andrew's question, so did you consider will you develop the application further? Like, what are your plans moving forward with this? Like, what would you like to do? Because it's super looks super cool. Love the workflow, and just wondering, what do you want to do next with this?
I guess we
I'll-
were hoping to relaunch it. Yeah, go ahead, Amir.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Probably after.
No, I was just thinking maybe we'd have, if we do launch it, we'd probably have like two plans, one for organization and one for the user. So maybe organizations have some data concerns that they might have. So I guess that's the kind of pricing plan that we would probably look at. Yeah.
Yeah, just agree with Amol. I think that data privacy is the biggest concern, especially from the user side, like how this data is used. So unless we are able to assure them that data is safe and is going to be only used for predicting the priority for them, But there is, a case for federated learning also, where a set of common emails, common patterns can be used as a basic model. And then on top of this model, a personalized model for your known priority. So yeah, I think data privacy issues in general is going to play a big role in the adoption of this particular product.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we have any other questions? Great. So I just would like to repeat what I said in the introduction, because later I got the message that I was muted, unfortunately. So yes, this is the winner announcement stream, and today we are presenting our top three winning teams. And we are past our first presentation of Team Megatron with Super Transformer project. And now we are moving on to our second presentation of the day, Team Runtime Error with the project called Debate. So,
thank you,
Milos, are
I'm
you
trying to
ready
get
to
it
present?
up. Yeah, so let me know when you can see the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So can you see the presentation slide?
Yes, we can see your
Yeah?
presentation.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
stage
great
is yours.
graphics.
So hi everyone. First of all, thank you for everyone who's here, and thank you for the organizers for coming up with this really interesting challenge. I had a lot of fun building my app. I'm gonna give you a quick introduction of myself. So my name is Vinush. I am currently in the UK, and I joined this hackathon because I had quite a bit of interest in NLP. So I was instantly drawn to this hackathon. So yeah, now onto my project. So the project is called Debate, and it's essentially an AI system that is capable of debating about an article of essentially any topic. So I'm going to try and whiz through the presentation so we can hopefully go through the demo and it does run well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in this presentation, I'm just going to go through what Debate is about, how I went about building it, and some of the potentials of Debate that I think a direction to kind of take it, as well as some improvements. Obviously, we only had 48 hours. There's a long way to go before it's fully fledged out. And finally, like I said, I'll try to go through a demo. So yeah, so what is Debate? So what is this? So as I mentioned, Debate is a conversational AI where the user and the AI system would have a kind of turn-based conversation based on an article. This article can be anything, so that is also an input to the system. So it can be of any topic that the user prefers. But there's a little bit more than just the conversation as well. So I use Cohere's generate model to generate the response, but I also used the classify model to classify the tone of the response that you generated. So you would kind of understand whether the AI is agreeing, disagreeing, and there are some other classes that I'll go through as well later on. And one of the cool things I realized as soon as I used the model, the Cohere system, is that with a little bit of prompt engineering, we can get a really, really powerful output from the model. So it's really fun to experiment with and see how the model was generating the responses. So first, I'm going to go through how I went about building it. So there are 4 components to it. So there's the Cohere classify, as I mentioned before. What it does is it takes in the user statement or whatever the AI statement is, whatever the statement is, and essentially classifies it into the 5 classes you can see on the top right there. So we have agree, partially agree, disagree, curious, essentially that would be questioning or trying to find out more. And then a statement, so it's just adding more information. That's what the statement part. The second part is the prompt engineering. So this is, I think, the most important part. Essentially, we are feeding the Kohe generate model a prompt that's actually being engineered. So this includes the history of the conversation, the user statement, the current statement that the user is posing, and also the article that this whole topic is about. And once we have all this and we kind of concatenate this, and then we put it through Kohe's generate model, and then we get the response from the AI. And the final part is the GUI design. So we just essentially wanted a clean layout, very minimalistic, just to kind of get it up and running. So I used Tkinsa library from Python to get that running. So here you can see a complete model. So as I was describing before, so we have the input, which is the history of the conversation so far, the article in question, and then the user input, so whatever the user is saying. And out of all of this, what we want at the end is the response from the AI. So the first part of it is the top part. So we can see the prompt engineering. Essentially, we're putting these three bits of information, and we send that through the generate model, and we get the response. But then from the user inputs and the AI response, we classify those to get a tone tag. And then all of this information is then added to the history. So the next time you have a conversation, it has all of this information to come up with the next generative answer. So I hope that makes sense. And there's a lot being shown over here. So what do I believe that the potential of debate is? So in terms of the business application of debate, one that I thought would be really interesting is seeing this being used to ensure users of social media are not polarized by influential people or groups based on a statement that they've put up. So for example, debate can be used to give social media users the opposing view of a statement. And this can kind of potentially encourage critical thinking for users, but also encourage someone to research further rather than just believing whatever's in social media. That was an interesting one. Another obvious application for this was the education route. So we can help students, again, with critical thinking by exposing them to systems like this. It will develop student research skills and also improve their skills in conflict resolution in their day-to-day lives. And finally, another application that this could be useful for is content generation. So we can use it to generate content about pressing issues in the news, for example, or any topic, essentially. And we can use debate to get an idea of the other side of the argument. And this can then be used in articles, magazines, blogs, essentially to create content rather than just have it as it is right now. So as I've said, so this was made in 48 hours. So there's a long way for this to be to go. Initially, so the GUI. So at the moment, it's a very minimalistic GUI. It's quite clunky, and there's no advanced controls or features for the user. So improving that will definitely help. The other one is getting a faster AI response. So this is a conversation, and sometimes the duration it takes to for the information to go to the API and back, it might be too long. It could time out, and this could, maybe discourage the user from using. So this is something that also needs to be improved. And then in terms of the models and the output we're getting, so the model for the generate was not fine-tuned. So during the thing, because and the at the moment is only using prompt engineering. So maybe if we fine-tune the generate model to the task that we want, then we might be able to get even better results. The classifier was fine-tuned, but on a very small data set that I manually labeled. So the current data set could be biased on my opinion. So ideally, we want more data that is better distributed to get better results for the classifier. And you might see this when we go through the demo, that the classifier might not always get it right. And additionally, because because we have the classify part of the model, essentially we have data from the historic conversations, which basically says this is an agree statement, this is a disagree statement. What we could do is in the future is we can give that control to the user. So essentially the user can input, okay, I want the AI to disagree with my next statement. And that can be an input. And then the AI essentially will learn from the data and the history of the conversation. Right? Okay, this is what is expected, and then produce a response that disagrees with it. And similarly, another control could be the length of the response. Sometimes you might want a long response, sometimes you want a short response. And again, we can train that through the AI. In fact, the tone and the length is already an input. It's just not being controlled yet. And finally, another cool thing would be to show more metrics with response. And this with the response, so that this kind of moves it towards explainable AI. So the user knows, okay, the AI has replied this way because of the information from the article or the information from the user, and it's kind of put this together. So we can have some metrics to kind of give the user an idea where it's picking out these ideas from. Yes, so now I will set up the demo. Sorry, is that visible? Or is that too small right now?
Yeah, it could be bigger. So if you could.
Could be bigger? Okay,
yes,
let me put it on the other screen then. Is that better?
Yeah, definitely.
That's better. Okay, cool. Does someone want to suggest? So this is about space exploration, the current article. If you want, I can get the conversation started, and someone can maybe suggest a statement that we can put in next. I can't guarantee this is going to work, so give it a best shot. So my laptop just froze. Just give me 1 second.
And meanwhile, we have some suggestion in the chat. Someone wrote extraterrestrial life exists. Could we use that?
Okay. Sorry, my laptop just froze there. Just trying to get it back up. Apologies. Okay. Can you see my screen again? So let's just set that in. So extraterrestrial life exists. Send that through. Okay. Says agree. I agree that we need to explore space. Any other inputs from there on?
Where is extraterrestrial life?
Okay. Not really. Not really related, I guess.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah, sure.
Can we ask, should we send people or robots on our next space mission?
That's a very good question. We may get a good response. We'll see. Space is dangerous, so it should be used for the most important things. Okay. Should we go one more, or should we call it?
Oh, we can ask the last thing is what are the dangers of space?
Okay.
Just to follow up on
Yeah.
its question or statement.
So I'll read it out. So space is an incredibly dangerous environment to be in, but spaceflight is not necessarily the most dangerous thing that we do. Although space is the final frontier, we are still human and thus prone to the same dangers that we face on Earth. For example, space flight has 0.008% chance of killing you. That is pretty low. Okay, that's a good follow-up, I think.
Agree.
Okay, yeah.
I have a question. So these nouns in the or adjectives in the brackets, the green ones, are these the tone tag? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the tone tag. Yeah, so that's the bit that's classified. Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah, but it's really accurate. This one, I'm impressed.
Yeah, sometimes it's not that accurate. Sometimes it's getting there.
Okay, cool.
So how do you mentioned a few ways that you see this getting better. So what was your experience with taking a model and turning it into a product? Like how difficult was the process from your perspective, and how's the experience just working with the Cohere model and with BlaBla platform?
With the Cohere model, I think it was really easy. So the first thing I did was I played around on the actual Cohere website, put in the input that I wanted, and see what it generates. And connecting that to the API was really simple. I mean, they had code snippets. You just copy paste it, and then just get it started. I think that part was easy. Just figuring out what the application was, that probably took me the longest. But actually fleshing it out I was really impressed at how quickly the Cohere model. Like how quickly it is to integrate it with what you want to do.
Okay, great. Yeah, it looks very cool.
Thank you. So I guess that's sorry.
Sorry. I just wanted to say that it's a very original use case. I haven't seen a debate before. I have seen conversations with AI, for example, but I've never seen this debate angle, and I feel like it's a really interesting one. So kudos to you. I think it's sick. Definitely keep grinding on it. Question I have is that like a lot of folks especially when they're dealing with generate, they're wondering like how the heck do you make sure that the model stays on the topic and like the conversation keeps the logical structure and it doesn't break. Like how do you keep the summary of the existing conversation in the prompt so that the flow is healthy and it doesn't break?
So I played around a little bit. So there's also a limit on the prompt, right? So you can't put in the whole conversation because it can get really strong. So what I did was I only look back at a certain number of conversations. We only look at the last 5 interactions, and we put that into the prompt. So it's always gonna the last 5 conversations is always going to be on it. So when we get the next, essentially. Another thing is it can also go off article. So every couple of times, I think it was every 3 times, you would put the article back in there, just so they know, okay, we're still on topic, and this is the article that we're still discussing about.
Got it.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like generally, like from the demo, I would have to play with it more, but I feel like from the demo, the vibe that I'm getting is that it's pretty optimized for developing statements rather than having a conversation. And a lot of the questions that we have been asking right now were more around like, asking about facts, more like exploratory rather than statements. So I'm curious how it would actually, like start to argue around a certain, point.
Topic. Yeah. So the classification, I mean, even some of these actually would be, the classification isn't actually correct, as you can see. So for example, this should have been something like curious, not statement. So first of all, I think if we get the classifying part correctly, then maybe the generate can get better as well, because it has the correct labels from the histories that we're generating. So it's definitely something, that needs a bit more work, I think.
Cool. And so in one of the ways that it could be used, you mentioned that it would be cool for fake news, for example, and also sort of preventing the polarization, which is a big problem in social media in general, and also like moderating social media. How would you actually see it sort of being implemented there as a sort of bot, as a filter? How would that work?
Yeah, so that's the tricky part. Yeah, I think. But I think the way I visioned it was a bot or something you would have, so like an extra bot. So after a statement, you'll have, oh, but did you know this, or have you thought about this, or have you read this article, something like that. So essentially, a bot, I think, would be the best way to go.
So like a bot that adds more culture of the debate to the ongoing conversation.
So, right?
that's
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's
So there's some
really
comments,
sick.
maybe yeah, some adding
Yeah.
some bits.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? And if not, let's move to our winning team. That is only one person. So please, Arjun, the stage is yours. Please share your screen.
Sure, absolutely. Let me just hit the thing and I'll let you know when I'm ready to go. All right, how's that look?
Try now, please.
Yes. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Arjun Patel. I'm the captain of Team AP, which is just me. And today I'm here to present my project, Perfect Prompt, for the Cohere LabLab AI, for the Cohere LabLab AI Hackathon competition. But before we go into that, I'd like to introduce myself first. I'm Arjun. I'm a data scientist in between jobs with a background in building models for speech and text data. I worked at a small speech text startup called Speako for many years as the lead and the only data scientist before transitioning to industry, after which I was promptly laid off after a month of work in there. Suddenly, I had all of this free time to learn about the cutting edge of NLP and transformers, and I came across this hackathon with a peculiar problem that I came across in my previous learnings. Imagine that you're learning about image generation for the first time. So you decide to roll up your sleeves and you fire up an open source free deployment of Stable Diffusion, like I've done here. You might have heard these models in the news and you want to see what the hubbub is about. So you sit and you think of a prompt, maybe a cozy cabin with a dog sitting on a hill. You anxiously type it into the model, you wait for 45 seconds for your new creation to be dreamed up by the very forefront of deep learning technologies today, and it's subpar. It's subpar because the keywords you chose for the model that you used were not informative enough for the image that you wanted. Now you have to wait another agonizing 45 seconds, maybe adding a few more adjectives or so to get the next image, wash, rinse, and repeat. Or maybe you turn to something like lexica.art, which is a prompt search engine for Stable Diffusion, and you try to search around for a prompt. You find a bunch of cool ones, but you have no idea how they work or how they're constructed, and thus how to modify them for your needs. Maybe you give up entirely and you decide to buy a prompt from PromptBase. It could be expensive, and you're right back to where you are, spending too much time and too much money. Enter Perfect Prompt, a one-stop shop for prompt engineering and image generation. Perfect Prompt allows you to retrieve suggestions for your prompt tailored to a specific art style, which allows this iterative process, prompt engineering, to occur independently of most of the image generation. Let's take a closer look. In this video, I've typed in a previous prompt that we were looking at, which is a cozy cabin with a dog sitting on a hill. And Perfect Prompt starts to work. It matches your prompt to one of 5 art styles using cohere.classify. Then a Cohere generator model pre-trained on over 1,000 lexica prompts is seeded with this art style, and it's prompted to rephrase the given prompt with more detail. Then, Perfect Prompt filters those variations based on those that are highest in probability to the identified art style, using cohere.classify again, and only surfaces the top 10. So we can see that we were identifying this prompt as cottagecore. We get an initial image, and we get a bunch of suggestions here. I'm going to take a look at the suggestions and try to pull out the ones that are interesting to me. So there's one about a mountainous forest. There's one about a long hairy dog. There's one about snow, winter, and foggy scenery. So I'm going to take those ideas. I'm going to add them to my prompt. So here I add in the forest, snow, because I think that these ideas get closer to the image that I was envisioning. I'll add a few more details that I get from the suggestions below. Again, there are 10 that are generated for people to learn from and use. And then we'll hit generate variations. With this process, users get to learn about the syntax of prompt generation, which is a sort of hidden knowledge when you're learning how to do image generation. It's not something that's necessarily evident or easy to know, but using the APIs that I've added to this application, you can learn that pretty quickly. So we'll hit generate variations. There'll be a time skip because it takes a little while to create an image. And we get our final image here, which is a dog in a cozy cabin with a lot of snow around. At the bottom, we can see our history of generated prompts, history of input prompts, and of course, the history of the images. Now, under the hood, we use classify to detect the art style, like I said earlier. We fine-tuned the generation model on 1,000 Lexica prompts taken from their search engine in order to understand the syntax of what a good prompt for an image generation model looks like. And then we seed this model with an art style and a prompt in order to get suggestions. We filter those suggestions using classify once again because we're really interested in the ones that are similar to the art style that we identified, not necessarily ones that are cogent. And we generate those images with replicates and keep all of the suggestions that we create inside the application. So using the Hugging Face Gradio demo, it took us about 45 seconds plus some time to come up with a prompt to really get to where we want to be. But with perfect prompt, it was only 30 seconds to generate the prompt and all the suggestions and the image for what we were looking for. In the future, we could take this application to create a full prompt engineering studio. We could add some runtime optimization so we're not retraining the classify model again on every run, for example. And paid and free tiers could account for the cost that it takes to generate an image. Much like how Cohere revolutionizes access to natural language processing by abstracting away architecture, this project attempts to abstract away prompt engineering so that anyone can make their perfect prompt. Thanks for everyone for listening, and thanks to the Cohere and LabLab AI team for organizing this competition and awarding my project first place. I want to thank mentor Jeremy Yu from the Cohere Discord for helping me fine-tune my idea for this project. If you like my app, you can visit my GitHub link and learn about it there. Or you can go to the Streamlit deployment at the tiny URL above, tinyurl.com/perfectprompt. And with that, I'm ready to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Beautiful presentation. So Pavel has a question already.
First of all, great presentation and a great tool itself. Definitely, you've probably seen like already people appearing as prompt engineers, right?
And I actually saw an application on LinkedIn for someone hiring somebody to be a full-time prompt engineer.
Yeah, and that's, I think, like you just cost them a job in general, right? So way to go, destroying another industry. But effectively, the tool is very, very impressive, and the execution of it very impressive. So my question is, what is your plan to do with the application right now? Like, what's your goal with it going forward? Do you have any ideas? Do you want to promote it? It seems like you had a lot of fun creating it, and it is actually very, very valuable for people as well. So what's your idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the reason why I had so much fun working on the project and why I was able to approach it the way I did was because I didn't really generate images before. So I didn't really understand how prompts were made in the first place. So creating a tool like this helped me understand what that user journey is like for somebody who's approaching an image generation model, who might have an intent in mind, but might not know exactly what to do at that point. Creating this app, I think, will help those users. I think I need to understand more of what that market looks like. What do these users actually want? There is a huge subsection of power users who know exactly what prompts they want to make, how to tune the images that they need, even what seeds to use and what the models that they're working with. So I think I would need to think pretty hard about like, if I were to offer this product to the marketplace, what is my ideal customer and what are they doing with the product and how that works forward. I think there are some issues also with image generation and prompt generation in general that I think I would have to really think about in order to have a good value proposition for somebody who wants to use my application. Right now, I see this as a really solid portfolio project, and I want to go back to it and tinker with it a little more, make it easier for people to use and get feedback from users and go from there.
Very nice. Thank you for that. Sandra.
Awesome. Well, great project, first of all. Congratulations on winning the hackathon. We obviously love it so much that it scored the highest. I'm super excited for it to sort of hit the market and start gaining traction among folks that are actually using image generation models. I wanted to ask you a couple of things around the sort of moving forward. Do you plan to continue focusing on images, like generating text to image type of outputs, or do you and do you plan to sort of like, you know, optimize around this, or do you plan to also go broader?
Ooh, that is a very fascinating, dangerous suggestion, Sandra. I think you're right. I think that prompt generation extends beyond just working with images, right? That's like probably the funnest example. But even when I was working on using the API, and when the other participants in this presentation were working on using the Generate API, all of us were figuring out how to phrase our prompts correctly. And one of the things that I had to do specifically was I had to figure out like, how can I instruct the API that I was using in order to rephrase the initial prompt that I was given by the user in the style that I wanted. So yeah, I don't see why not using this for other applications would be helpful. I don't know if I have a really good idea on what use case to work on next. If you have a suggestion, I'd love to build it out and see if people find that useful for natural language processing. But yeah, like if you're building marketing copy and you're like, how can I actually phrase this correctly in order to get the copy that I want? I think that would be an interesting use case. And allowing multiple suggestions to be generated at once, that accelerates your workflow a lot, right? So people can find a lot of value from that. That's a great idea. I'm gonna write that down. Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is a potential there. Generally, in terms of prompt engineering, as you mentioned and discovered, this is like a area where, like a growing area, an area that is still, I guess, puzzling for a lot of people. So I think it would be helpful to have tools that are educating you on the type of structure of the prompt that you could use for both for images, but also for text and for other stuff that's coming out every week recently, like, I don't know, voice or videos. Okay, another question. So right now you're working with Stable or with DALI. Which model are you working with?
I'm using a stable diffusion via a third-party package called Replicate. They've hosted a stable diffusion model, and so I just make calls to that model, get images back.
Okay, makes sense. So another suggestion would be to like go and see how it performs with different types of text to image models, and if there are any differences, and sort of, you know, try to optimize to get the best outcomes in each particular type of model, because there are like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or more out there right now that are really popular. So that's another way that you could sort of start building around it.
I'm really glad you said that, Sandra, because that was actually one of my initial ideas. Because I had known about DALI, I'd known about, I think, Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, and I was like, well, if I'm trying to learn how to generate images, how can I figure out the best one for the prompt that I'm working on? And ultimately, I just didn't know enough about these models for me to like accurately label the data to filter them toward a specific model that should generate that prompt. But that's brilliant. Like that would be amazing to teach people how to find the right image generation model for the prompt that they're given.
Yes, and finally, one thought that I have was like I guess it would be great to like do some like quality testing in terms of like what type of prompts you're suggesting and what type of outcomes you're getting, and whether there is any like what are the best outcomes that you're getting out of these. And I don't know how you would go about it. I think there are tools for that in terms of like how to like optimize your prompts. But yeah, that's another way to keep improving. Because I like when you showed me the demo, I wasn't really sure if the first image was better than the second. You know what I mean? Like it was both like cute dog in the cabin with like snow and stuff. So I couldn't tell which one is better because both are high quality. But maybe there are some ways to, make it even better. So that would be
Yeah.
another suggestion.
Yeah, I think that working with the Lexica.art API helps a lot because those are like real prompts that people use in the structure that they have. But you're right, like sometimes the generator will just generate complete nonsense and like you'll type in a prompt and it's just like, wait, this is really different than what I wanted. So there's a lot of tuning that needs to be done in order to make the prompts and the suggestions higher quality. And improving that, I think, would really improve the user experience really quickly and get people to their perfect prompt faster.
Yeah, definitely. Like looking at which prompt actually gets used in the end, like when the user journey finishes, that's a clear hint. Yeah, if they didn't log out and slam the computer against the table, then that last prompt is the one that has the best results. That's one easy way. Or just have users upvote the final result, right? Leave a smiley face like you're leaving the airport. You have that little, good service, medium, happy, and just give them a little button with 3 faces and they say, yeah, I love this. So you know that prompt and that way of making the call was the best one, right? Because that will clearly, like, you go through, let's say 8,000 different people, 10,000 different people, and you will have a clear data set on which way to make the call. So very, very nice way to move forward. Also congratulations from us. Myself, Matthias, we're fascinated always when something is created, like we like to say from nothing or just from an idea, right? And it comes to life. And congratulations to all 3 teams for making it and for spending the time. I think it was really worth it, and all of your projects have created something unique, valuable, and also something that can really help people in an actual situation right now. So I think you have a very bright path ahead of you with these projects or with new projects, but you're definitely on the cutting edge of technology, working with models from Cohere and working with us on creating this innovation. So that alone means that you're in the very, very top tier of your field, and people will take notice. So thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Kuba, do we basically have any other points to cover?
No, that's it. If you don't have any other closing remarks, I think this is it. We would like to invite everyone. Okay.
Sandra, maybe you want to add something from Cohere as well?
Yeah. I just want to thank you guys for pulling off an awesome weekend, and I'm always amazed when I see the demos. I feel like they're getting better. Also, there are among you, for example, Amir, there are folks that are just keep coming and building and keep getting better. It's so awesome to see. Keep working on your project. Don't let it go. Share it with the world. Share it with us also at Cohere Discord. We love to look at new ideas, play with them, interact with them, and also I am planning to create a mentorship network moving forward for demos that were created during hackathons. So you will be also included in this, so that we just make sure that your projects get love and attention and enough water and sunshine to grow further. Thank you so much for doing awesome stuff, and see you at the next hackathon.
Yeah, and as
exactly. Go visit, everybody that's watching, go visit lablab.ai. Next events are coming up. There's an event happening every weekend, effectively right now. So you can check out new technology from top AI labs like Cohere and build super, super exciting projects together with us. There's over 8,000 people right now building together, and we believe that this will grow very quickly. So you can always find a team. You can always find like-minded people on our Discord and our partners' Discords and share your ideas and build together. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming and watching us today. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.